sweet. So yeah, most of us have been here before. So the way that we're gonna go from here is just opening pitches, and then we'll go from there. So I'll go first. My name is Mickey Gamonal. I am with Gamonal Tutors. If you know anybody who's joining any branch of the military and needs help on their ASVAB, you can look me up online on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. That's Gamonal Tutors.
Fantastic. Paula Williams with ABCI. We help aviation companies sell more of their products and services through either marketing services or sales training.
And John Williams, I do the back-end stuff for her. She's the rock star. We occasionally get some management requests in, and I deal with those.
I'm Annamarie Buonocore with InFlightUSA Magazine and BizDevJets USA Magazine. We are a nationwide general aviation publication. We've been in business for 37 years, and we are here to improve our online presence, our social media presence, network with new writers and advertisers. Annamarie Buonocore, InFlightUSA.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dave Pearl, the Fly Writer. You can reach me at theflywriter.com. I write words that give wings to your business. If it can be written, I can write it. I'll help you discuss your product. I'll help you reach out to customers, whatever you want to do. Come take a look.
My name is Trish Machiri, and I'm with Charterly. We're a private jet charter service, and we connect you to your next jet charter for passenger or cargo flights.
So what I love about what I do is I have a degree in education. By all rights, I should have been a math teacher here in Clark County, Nevada. But I've done some other stuff with my life. I went and joined the Peace Corps, and then I joined the Army. And I've done a lot of other things, kind of running away from teaching as a profession, to be honest, because teaching as a profession is rough. But I'm in a position now where I get to teach people who want to learn, and I get to make noticeable progress on their goals. So I know that I'm like helping people get closer to where they want to be. I'm not like a recruiter, so I'm not begging people to join the military. I'm not pushing for people to show up to class. I don't have to do any of that because they pay me, and so they're going to show up. Just the other day, I was on the phone with a parent who wanted to pay for his kids' lessons, and I was like, I often will recommend that you have the student pay, and the reason is because if they pay, I know they're going to show up. But if they don't, if you pay for them, you never know. And so that's something that I could never do as a regular teacher. But as running my own show, like that's something that I really, really love. And you know, the parent's eyes just lit up. He was like, "Oh, of course, you know, that makes so much more sense." So that's probably the main thing that I love about what I do.
You get to make the rules, right?
Yeah. Autonomy is key.
Yeah.
For someone who's like in the military, I don't necessarily have a problem with authority, but I've never been a big fan of it. I mean, you guys can probably speak to that. My mom and
Of course not. You've never been a big fan, but you joined the military, right? Where authority reigns supreme.
Right.
Biggest surprise in my life. That's okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad that worked out. And I'm glad that you found a way to do what you wanted to do on your own terms, as opposed to fitting into the mold of what existed already. And I think a lot of us who have small businesses have done that. We've, adapting to what the market needs and to what we personally are good at and what we want. So, I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think because you teach maths, a lot of people don't like it. Mm-hmm. And so at least you get to work with the people who want to learn it. And I think that's already an advantage for you, as opposed to mom and dad sending them to your classes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, because if someone else tells you to go learn math, you can be there, but it could be really painful for the students and for you.
True that.
Math is actually very easy. And I can say that being a math major, because it's like I told him when he was growing up, you learn the very basic stuff, 1 + 1 and all that stuff. And as you go into more, they just do that in different means, different fashion. And if you ever get behind, you stop whoever's teaching you and you say, wait a minute, I don't understand. Because if you don't stop then, you will forever be behind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I can cultivate in my class that I would not be able to cultivate in a regular class. If I had 30 students, I could never tell them, hey, just interrupt me, guys. Like, if there's any problems, just go ahead and interrupt. Like, that wouldn't happen if I'm burning through 30 students. So yeah, it's really great for me.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Nice. I was listening to a YouTube video on outliers the other day, and they were discussing how Asian kids are so much better at math than everywhere else in the world. And what was interesting is that it's not that they're more intelligent or have a mathematical brain or something, but it's just the way that they've been raised, to just follow through and solve a problem and not be afraid of solving the problem. So I found that pretty interesting. I always thought they had a maths brain.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Is Outliers, that's Malcolm Gladwell, yeah? Is that nice?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that chapter because I'm a math teacher. So when I read that, now I tell all my students, I'm like, the reason Asians are so good at math is because they do yet, ye, some, say. Like, they have very single syllable counting to 10, and then they use that to do like 1 and 5, 1, 10, and 5, which is 15. Whereas we say like 12. Like, what is a 12? Like, why do we make it more complicated? So yeah, it was made to make sense. Like, to John's point, like, math is created to make sense. If it doesn't, it's not necessarily the student's fault. It's just that there's a misunderstanding somewhere along the line, and I live for that. I love that kind of stuff. So
that's cool. Well, what I love is that I don't have to do math. I have people to do that for me. Right? No, what I love about my business is not the math. It is actually, what I love is getting a phone call from somebody saying, I followed your worksheet and I got a new client. Or I've got so much business that I don't need to do marketing, but I'm coming anyway to, I'm doing this workshop anyway because I know that's not going to last forever. But when it works, that's what I love, is just hearing from somebody saying, you can't tell anybody this, but I just landed this thing, I'm like, that's perfect. That is so cool. So, I mean, every single office hours is what I love about it. Usually the first 5 minutes when they tell me what they've been doing since the last time we talked. That is my very favorite part, because that's when it all comes together, and that's when I find out something that I did that worked. So that's cool.
Nice.
The success stories, for sure. I feel like success stories you always lean back towards. Like, that's why you get into what you do. So, and
that's what keeps you going, right? Because sometimes things don't work out, but most of the time they do. So it's all. I like to tell people that marketing is gambling, but it's playing the odds, moving the odds around in your favor. So, it works. Yeah. So, which is math, but I don't do the math. I have people to do that. So. That's why I have you.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Cool. How about you, John?
Well, because we are not selling business consulting, then somebody's got to prove to me that they need what I have to say and they want what I have to say and they will listen. If they do those things, then we can get along fabulously and they win because of it. I've been working with a client now for several years, and we're getting ready to do a really big deal. We're going to add an aviation section to a 60-year-old company. And when he first asked me if he wanted to do this, I said, no, you can't do that. And he said, why not? I said, because you can't afford it. And it took him aback. And it took him a few years, to figure out how he could, because, I told him, I said, the hangar loan for what you want to do is at least 50 to 60 million. Said the airplanes you want run between 30 and 100 plus million each. Then you've got pilots, and you can't have just one, you can't have two, you got to have backups. And when you fly overseas, you got to have a full extra set of crew. And I went on and on and on and on.
And his eyes rolled back inside his head. And that didn't work out for a really long time.
But he's got things worked around to where, I don't know, next 30 to 60 days, we just might actually do this.
Nice.
And it's fun. I mean, that's the part, once you go through all that and they listen, you find somebody that listens and goes through and does what you say, and then you make it work. It's, see?
Love it when a plan comes together, even if it takes 10 years.
Right. Exactly.
It almost sounds more like a front end, right? Like you enjoy the client selection almost more from what I was getting. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I don't work with anybody I don't like.
Yeah.
It's just too much time.
That's a good idea.
I mean, I have that luxury because that's not our thrust of our business here.
Yeah.
That's true. We actually fired a client once, because it wasn't going well and he wasn't treating our people well. And we ended up driving through the night across the desert to get to his place to pick up our equipment and drop off his money. And, it was, that's only happened once in however long we've been in business.
15 years. Yeah, what's funny about that, we drove over there because he said he wasn't releasing his equipment to one of our people. And I said, that's nuts. So we got in the car and went over there. And the guy said, well, you'll have to refund what we paid you. And I said, nope, that didn't happen because he and I made an agreement. And I showed him a piece of paper. And I said, now, if you want me to do that, I will refund this much money. He says, okay. He said, write me a check. I said, better than that. And I got the computer out. And I said, would you agree this is the amount of money? He said, yes. And I hit an ACH transfer and he had it the next day.
It was just like a drug deal in a hangar. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, but it worked.
Yep, it did.
Nice.
It's nice when you can afford to, right?
Yeah. Well, and we've learned a good lesson from that, and that is to always keep money from a new client in escrow,
Right.
Until we know that things are going well enough to spend it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another thing that we learned from that is if someone isn't treating our people well, our photographers, our writers, our other folks, this is not a good deal, because they're not going to treat their customers well either. And, we get associated with somebody like that in the industry and, things just go badly really quickly because it's such a small world.
Right.
And which doesn't mean that if I needed his services, I would still use them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not fit for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said what I like most about it is reading the stories that people submit to the magazine. I come from a writing and editing background, but since moving into the sales process in the ad sales department, I would say that advertising and sales process, just hearing people's feedback and where they stand and what they want to get out of marketing with us is my favorite part of the process.
Nice. Very cool. So you do the sales for the marketing. And you said you used to write, or
no? I still write. I mean, I was just the editor. My first job in the company was editor, and then I transitioned into the sales department later on.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I have experience on all fronts: distribution, editorial, all of it.
So, what's your favorite part? Which one of those?
Well, as I said, the sales process has been my favorite part because I just like getting out there and talking to people, hearing what people have to say, finding out, even if they don't buy something, I just like hearing where they're at and hearing what they're passionate about.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. I feel like sales scares the crap out of me, and I think a lot of people, but you must be really familiar with what you do to enjoy the sales process. Like, you must be pretty good at it, I would bet.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've tried my best, but I've kind of gotten my rhythm. It's all about rhythm, and I found the rhythm, and I have a lot of leads. Just going through LinkedIn, I found so many leads, so I'm excited. The more leads, the better.
Oh yeah,
good,
sweet.
I like to think about it like I used to be afraid of short field landings because they're kind of scary and kind of hard, but now they're like my favorite thing in the world, and I want to do a short field landing every single time, because it was scary to me at one time and now it's not. So, it's this feeling of power that you get on the other side of fear, right? Do you think that might be part of it?
Oh, definitely. Yes. You get over the fear and then you want to keep doing it.
So yeah, that's good. I mean, it was a very succinct answer. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Great. Okay, cool. We'll jump over to David for now. Go ahead, David.
Okay. Well, I mean, listening to everybody, I mean, I hear elements of the things that I like. You, Mickey, talking about being able to choose the people you work with, and I think that's very important. I have something of a education background. I've taught in a lot of different areas, and there's nothing better in my mind than working with people that are excited and motivated to do something. And I certainly share your belief that if they've got buy-in, meaning it's not something that somebody bought for them, but they've invested their money, then they're going to work hard to make it happen. And as a teacher, I don't think you can ask for anything more than to work with a student who really wants to learn. It's wonderful to run into the super intelligent people. I used to do SAT prep and so forth, and I'd have a couple students that were just thinking they get perfect scores. Well, there wasn't much I could do to help them. They really didn't need me. Maybe I could give them a little bit of insight, but it was those kids that were struggling, and that something I did for them actually helped them, and to see that moment when they got it. I don't think there's anything better in life than to see the light come on in somebody's eyes when they grasp something, or they all of a sudden they believe that they can do it. At my stage of the game, that's what I'm looking for with the clients I work for. I mean, I seldom go in and talk with anybody that is much older than my kids. And so, I can try to bring my experience, certainly not my technological capabilities, because they're better at that stuff than I am. But, a lot of times with experience comes a sense of perspective on things. And that's what I like to share with my clients. To Paula's point about, those moments when you see something that you've done come to fruition, that something you did helped somebody else achieve something they wanted. That's what I'm in here for. It's nice to get some money, but at the later stage in life, I think you're looking more for impact, maybe some sense of a legacy that you had something that you did helped. And then in the aviation field, nothing I've done in my life has brought me in front of as many people that are motivated to do things, that are problem solvers, that don't quail in the face of a difficult challenge. They'll find some way to make it work. I think John's Air Force, well, I'm Navy, and we always looked at the Air Force guys as being, they had more stuff. We would go get the Air Force would give us their leftovers a lot of times, and so we were always working with not enough parts, and not very good locations, and having to make do with basically half an airplane when we wanted a whole airplane, and so. Those types of challenges, dealing with a difficult situation and sticking with it until you got the job done. So that's kind of what I think aviation is all about. And, that's what kind of gives me a sense of purpose, a reason to get up in the morning.
Fantastic. No, that's the best thing in the world, seeing the lights come on or seeing something come together for somebody. I think that's a common element that we all have.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's great that your experience has led you to become more purpose-driven. I think that like anybody who's starting in business should be really happy about that, because that means that like as time goes on, it's not going to be so much about the technicality side, right? It sounds like it becomes a lot more, like you said, the impact and legacy. And I mean, those are great words. Those are great things to have. So that's great.
Yeah. For me, I think it's like a summation of what everyone's been saying. And I think really at the end of the day, we all want to bring value and impact and to get that satisfaction that you've changed someone's world or someone's life or someone's business. The flexibility of working the way you want with whoever you want, being able to choose how you work, who you work with. And what I enjoy the most, I think it's sort of like, I think my whole career is sort of coming together now. When I worked in maintenance, I always felt like I had, I enjoyed sales, I enjoyed marketing, but I never got to sell anyone because I was just around aircraft and mechanics. So, and I like being around people, building relationships, and I only built relationships with the mechanics and the people on the floor that I worked with, and the pilots that I worked with. But I'm excited to see where this all goes, because I kind of see private aviation as sort of like how maybe 30, 40 years ago, it was like, only some people had a Gucci bag, or a designer bag. But now anybody can have a designer bag and can want to have a designer bag and can own several designer bags. So luxury on, say like on the clothing side, or even cars, people, I think even the normal person wants to drive a Ferrari, but people have always thought, oh, but I can't fly on a private jet, because there's been, I don't know what's been lacking there. I think we've made it so elite and so out of the reach of people. So I'm really hoping to get it to that place where everybody can dream of flying on a private jet, even if it was once, just the same way that people will say, I want to save for the next 3 years to buy, the latest Gucci bag. So, yeah, so I want to see where it's all going, with the FTOL and all these technologies coming up. I feel like the industry is changing so much, and, we're going to be living in a Star Trek world. So,
right?
Yeah.
Another thing that I think has been changing is, how luxury used to be like Paris Hilton and her silly little dog.
Yes.
And now it's almost like families and things like that are using private aviation, and it's not Paris Hilton and her silly little dog. It is a family that going on a vacation, trying to keep their family safe, and it's like a logical decision, not a not a celebrity in a magazine sort of deal.
Yes.
But anyway, I don't mean to pick on Paris Hilton and her silly little dog. Anybody who has a silly little dog, I apologize, but I think dogs are fabulous, and Paris Hilton is probably fabulous too. But anyway, that idea is not accurate anymore.
Exactly, and some people still have that idea. That is for Paris Hilton. And so it's nice when I talk to people and tell them that, you can find something that's affordable for you. And the surprise that people, like it's never occurred to them that they could. And then when they realize that their holiday budget, they could maybe tweak a few things and still afford to travel private. So it's really interesting to to get that light bulb moment, to see the light bulb moments.
Right, exactly. And then also, if they take off all of the extra stuff, because they get, they might be able to spend one fewer day, and then that money they can devote to travel. So, they're not spending all that time zigzagging to airports.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. So it sounds like you're kind of on the cutting edge of the innovation, right? Like as it becomes more common, like you get to be right there, kind of leading that charge. So that's pretty cool. Is that what you were saying? Is it kind of similar?
Well, I don't know whether I'm leading the charge, but I'm participating and doing my bit, to, I believe that it should be accessible to everybody. Everybody knows that, if you want to buy a Rolls Royce, you go here. If you want to buy a Gucci bag, you go to Macy's or wherever, people should know, because knowledge is power. And I'm excited to see what the industry will do. I also see a resemblance, like when the low budget carriers came in, I think they also kind of made travel accessible to a lot more people, because for instance, in Europe, you could travel for £1, so now all of a sudden anyone could travel, and it wasn't deemed expensive. So the low budget airlines kind of gave the industry the accessibility, where everybody now realized that we can do it. And yes, it's not about being expensive or cheap, but just that you can do it. And yeah.
Right. And then that lowers the next bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes that much easier for other people. So.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. But cool. Good stuff. It's really encouraging to hear what you guys love about what you do, because I hope it encourages everybody else to love what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes those things you don't love that much more worth it. So it's great. So my name is Mickey Gamonal. I'm with Gamonal Tutors, and I do ASVAB tutoring. You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Paula Williams with AVCI. We do aviation marketing and also aviation sales training, and you can find us at aviationbusinessconsultants.com.
I work for her, so what she said.
Right.
Sweet. Go ahead, David, and then Trish.
Okay. I'm Dave Furl, the Fly Writer. You can reach me at theflywriter.com. I write specifically for aviation businesses. If it can be written, I can write it. I'll give wings to your words.
I like it. I like the slogan, man. Great. Go ahead, Trish.
Trish Machiri, Charterly. We connect you to your passenger or cargo jet charter. We can be found at charterly.ca, and our social handles are at Charterly on Facebook and Instagram, Charterly Jets on Twitter.
Excellent. Cool.
Good job, everybody. I'm glad you got the Twitter, your social handles so well organized. That's something I'm going to suggest that everybody do next time. Maybe get their social handles in order so that they can just, they just roll off the tongue like that. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. This was great. I hope everybody has a great Monday and an awesome week.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
Cool.
Nice seeing everybody.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.